And also, if it's not efficient, you have to factor that in.
Yeah.
In the, were you alone or a team of?
So I was working with a guy called Charles. He was a he was not the contractor responsible for it before. It was I think it was outsourced to somewhere else. But then when I started working on it, I started working on it with a guy called Charles. Wait. No, I think I did most of like the foundation work first. I worked on it for a long time.
Yeah.
And then Charles joined me later on.
As a Microsoft employee or?
He was a contractor then, but now he's a full-time employee at Microsoft.
Is he Kenyan or?
Yeah, he's Kenyan.
Okay.
Yeah. So he joined me after the ADC. Well, he became an FTE after the ADC.
Okay.
Yes.
And that project went well. So I'm sure because even that's not a project that you told me you're working on. How did you exit from that project to another in the company? Do you not need to maintain it? Do you not need to?
I think folks were happy with the work I did.
It was stable enough.
They say the reward for good work is more work. So that's what happened.
Yeah, and that's true most of the time.
Yes. So I moved on to the Python SDK. Customers were starting to ask for a Python SDK.
Yeah.
So I did that Python SDK for a long time. I sort of did all the groundwork and the first few features. So after that, then I got asked to do now. So I onboarded someone on the Python SDK. And then
who was coming through ADC?
Yeah, now ADC now had come into place.
Yeah.
So our team had also grown now. We're around 10 folks in the team.
Yeah.
So I worked on the Python SDK, and then I moved to our Microsoft Graph CLI, the command line interface tool.
Yeah.
That was also very fascinating. That's one of the most fascinating things I've worked on.
Well, at Microsoft.
Yeah.
Why is it fascinating for you?
Because of the extensibility model. So you see, the problem with the Microsoft Graph API is thousands of endpoints. Yeah. So if you are to ship a CLI, first of all, you can't build CLI commands. You can't write 1,000 CLI commands.
Yeah, true.
Second, even if you are to write 1,000 CLI commands, you can't ship 1,000 CLI commands because of the size.
Yeah.
So those are the technical challenges.
So you have to figure it, and there's a lot of math involved.
But there's a lot of software engineering involved. So we had to find like an extensibility model where like the CLI ships with say like 100 endpoints.
Yeah.
And then users could extend the CLI on demand. Say I want to get the user's endpoint, for example, and then they will be able to sort of ask the CLI to get those endpoints to sort of extend itself with those endpoints.
Yeah.
So that I found that very interesting. Yeah.
Interesting. So which stack have you built it with?
That was in Python. Actually, from that experience, if anyone tells me to build a CLI in Python again, I'm telling him to get out of my face. I'm never building.
Was that difficult?
Yeah, especially because, for that to work, you need to ship the CLI with the Python interpreter. Because, the extensions were essentially Python modules. And for the CLI to load the modules, it needed the Python interpreter to load the modules with.
Yeah. So and that's not an easy thing when you're shipping.
Yeah, especially if you have to ship for Linux, you have to create the Debian packages, those Deb packages. That was really stressful.
Yeah.
And also the Wix files for Windows installer. The Windows installer, like that was... I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. It was very painful.
Yeah. Why does Windows never work for devs?
What do you mean? Windows is the best.
No, they're trying, but...
You see, with Windows, you see how I'm telling you it's the best? Because of Windows subsystem for Linux.
Yeah, until lately, but even then, there's always something that will break, and then you'll spend all your time there fixing it.
Well, maybe because I worked at Microsoft. I think Windows is quite
on
solid.
the other side, and you see, for you have seen the other side of the things, right? But when it comes to users, especially, I'm not talking about general users. General users is perfect. It's easy to use, and
Let me ask you. Let me put you on the spot. What problem specifically have you fixed? Have you met?
Specifically, unless this changed, because it's been over a decade.
You're working with outdated information, my friend.
Yeah. So I remember even trying to install Ruby. And it could work
Ruby,
in one machine.
But that is not Windows' fault. That is Ruby's fault.
Yeah.
That's not Windows' fault.
Yeah.
Because Ruby is like, the developers made it thinking about Linux.
Yeah.
So getting it to work on Windows was stressful.
Yeah.
But that is Ruby's fault.
Yeah. So you're saying there's a good job that is being done on the Windows
Windows
machines.
is quite impressive, actually. I enjoy the time I spent on a Windows machine. Yeah.
Okay. I'll take your word for it.
VS Code is actually quite good as well. Like,
yeah, but to see VS Code, you can use it anywhere. It doesn't have to be Windows.
But it's from Microsoft.
No, I'm not saying. Okay, let's get the cat out of the bag. I'm not saying all the tools that come from Microsoft are bad. I'm just saying your experience as a dev on Windows machine it does not match the user experience.
I mean, 10 years ago that could have been correct, but right now I think
things have changed.
Yeah, like the times I've spent on a Windows machine I've enjoyed it.
Yeah,
and like.
And do you have to be on the latest version of Windows for everything to be fine?
No.
Even 2007 Windows machine would serve me perfectly.
Windows machine or the Windows OS?
OS.
Yeah, it should work.
Yeah.
But
you're making me to feel like I should go and test. And next time we'll have this conversation.
Yeah, you should definitely.
Yeah.
I think Microsoft right now have quite a good understanding of developer experience.
Okay.
They have sort of
after acquiring GitHub.
And also the team, because when I was at Microsoft, they have a whole organization, a whole organization that is equivalent to a maybe 500 people startup. Working on developer experience.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
So they have a really good.
To hear
they have a really good understanding of developer experience.
Oh, okay.
So I think they've sort of cracked.
I'll go and test that Windows. I don't have to be on the latest OS.
The software you use might need to be on the because software usually built for the latest OS.
Even then, I'll test it just for this.
Or you want a Windows license?
Oh, you have some? I don't mind.
I think I might have a few from my time at Microsoft, but I don't remember where I kept them.
Yeah, we can look for them and share. Do you still use Windows machine now?
No, right now I mostly spend my time on a Mac.
On a Mac, yeah, that says a lot. Anyway,
out of convenience.
That says a lot.
It's because I am on an iPhone, so I like to take my phone calls from either.
Everything connects.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, no love lost, no love found. It's just a matter of just pure independent observation from my interaction with Windows and dev work. So you start now building the SDK, the Python SDK, and you say it's the worst experience.
The CLI. Yeah, like especially
which comes first, Python or
the SDK? The Python SDK comes first, and then the CLI comes second. But it's still in Python.
Yeah. So what would you say it could actually work well if it was built?
CLI is, I would say, Go is pretty solid.
Go is good.
Yeah. CLIs,
yeah. Okay. And right now it's still on Python, right? But it works.
So what happened is after I left, I think before I left, we ran into a very significant technical challenge. And that was the CLI naming were because you can't write 1,000 CLI commands, we were auto-generating them.
Yeah.
And the tool we used to auto-generate was owned by another team.
Yeah.
So we didn't have a lot of influence over the direction of that tool.
Yeah.
So like a strategic decision was made to build our own tool called Kyoto, which actually GitHub users started using to generate their own SDKs now. They use that to generate their .NET SDK, I think.
Okay.
So because of that decision, we decided to sort of abandon the Python effort.
Okay.
Because it was a bad user experience. So the CLI exists now, but it is now in C#.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because so even C# is much better than even Python.
Fun fact, I never wrote C# at Microsoft.
Yeah. It's good to mind you a lot of C.
Well, not exactly. Maybe because I can't see clearly. And so when that happened, we were starting getting requests for a Go SDK, and because I'd been playing around with Go on my own time, I moved to work on the Go SDK.
Yeah.
So now I initiated that effort. or became part of that effort early on, working on the Go SDK. Yeah.
So, is that the last project you work at Microsoft? Or
Yes, that was it. No, so that was not the last project actually. So around that time is when I moved to London now.
Through Microsoft?
While working for the Go SDK. While working on the Go SDK, I moved to London.
Yeah. To be closer to the team or?
No. My wife got a job in London and then we relocated as a family to London.
Your wife also works for Microsoft?
No, she doesn't work for Microsoft.
Another company. So you tell your manager, the family is moving and I would love to be close to it. So they find the office in London or how?
No, you have to apply. The thing with Microsoft, you don't just change teams. Okay. It's like you have to apply. It's easier, of course, when you're inside than when you're outside.
Okay.
But you have to apply and go through the motions of an interview.
Okay. Or you
you have to be interviewed
all together. Okay.
Yeah.
So you join our own new team?
I joined a whole new team. This team was in the Azure organization. In Kenya, I was in the Microsoft 365 organization.
Okay.
So I was in that team for a few months, maybe 2 months. Then I left Microsoft. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Only 2 months?
Yeah.
What went
well? It could be longer than, it could be 4 months.
Yeah.
But it's not a long time, essentially.
What went well?
So,
because that's very important for guys who migrate and stuff. Maybe it could be some few lessons that we learned.
So migration is like one of the most difficult things I've done, actually.
Yeah.
It's very stressful.
Yeah.
Migrating, especially by that time my daughter was 7 months old.
Yeah.
So doing that with a young child was
crazy. You need a lot of tension and it's a new country.
It's a new country.
New weather.
Exactly.
If you could go to Nairobi and nosebleed, then this other place is crazy.
So
those are some of the challenges actually that contributed to you to consider leaving Microsoft.
There are challenges really. No, I just thought it was time to leave.
But no, this is very important for anyone who works for a company that actually need to move around the world. It's not as easy as it sounds. It's fun, it
looks good. It looks good.
Irish or Ireland. I might go to Seattle, but also the change, especially when you have a family, is not that easy. And I think some companies have started actually recognizing that, and they have a also support system around that.
Shortly after, I didn't stay at Microsoft for too long after I moved to London. There for a short time, and then I joined Netlify.
Yeah, Netlify is based in US.
It's a US company that's remote.
Yeah. So there you started building.
So that's where I started working on the build system.
Yeah.
Well, you see, you'll see a general trend is that I've just been working on developer tooling. I said, I've been very passionate about that since then.
Guys who are listening to us, these are the modest tech bros who you don't know about by the way until this podcast. And I'll bring some of them because I feel like, and this is not just to say, these guys are making $1 million and, not that hullabaloo. And even if they're making it's their effort for sure. It's just that they have done some amazing work that actually, and I feel like you guys are so modest. I know a couple of you, if you go through, their LinkedIn profile, if you don't know them personally, you might think nothing happening, but a lot of things are. But please share.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
So about this discussion comes up ever so often on Twitter about a developer earning this much, another earning this much. It's good to make money.
True.
But what I think is more important is to do good work.
Yes, I agree with you.
So, if I was starting in my career, I would advise someone to focus more on their craft than on their payslip.
Yes.
I'm not saying don't I just said before, I negotiate aggressively. But personally, I find more satisfaction from the work.
Yes. The money just comes as a package to keep your life comfortable, but it's not like a big deal.
Well, it's a big deal. The work is a bigger deal. I'm not underplaying the value of money.
But Japheth, let's say the way it is. So if I come to you and I'm like, there's this project you're building, but know that it's a startup and you see the value, you could actually get involved in it based on that, especially if it's true.
Actually, right now I'm on a career break, so I decided to take time off. After coming from London, I decided to take time off for some time.
Okay.
And what I'm doing now is just dipping my toes in like early stage startups.
Yeah.
I'll give you a demo. I'll give you a demo after.
You've answered my question, but indirectly. But I hear you.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. And like from what I'm doing now, I'm not getting paid.
True.
Because even if the guy was to pay me, he probably couldn't. It will be.
If you showed him your last paycheck, the conversation would end there.
Exactly.
Now, I'll ask another question, and I've seen these even before this Microsoft everything came into play, whereby someone works for Google for 5 years, and then eventually, not that they are fired or anything, or maybe their contract expires and they need to renew it, but they don't choose to renew it, and they go and start doing music or doing some other things, hobby stuff. Mostly, what is this? Like they feel like they are more satisfied doing all these things, or is this a personal choice to like take a break? What is this really process look like?
Well, the part that most people don't give a lot of attention to is the saving bit. Because before you take like a career break, you need to have saved for it.
Oh, okay.
Because there is no source of income.
Yeah,
you're only eating from like your savings.
Yeah. And you have to have a plan around like what's that gonna look like if you're gonna come back. But I know a guy from Uganda. Maybe I should look for him when I'm there. It's called Elijah Kitaka. And he used to work for Google back in the day. And he just quits Google. And there's another guy who used to do Ruby. I think he's American. I can't remember his name. He came to the community and said, you know what? This is my last month at Google. But I feel like I should not work for big tech anymore. I'm more interested in startup. I'm more interested in my other projects that are not even tech. Does big tech really take a huge toll on you? How is that?
Well, there are folks who have worked at Microsoft for 30 years.
Yeah.
So it depends on the person.
Okay. So it's an individual by individual
basis. Case by case scenario. But you can have a very fulfilling life at Microsoft, at Google, at Facebook. So it depends on what makes you tick.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But I'll look for these folks when I when I get time. I think Elijah has some radio or something, if I remember. It's very interesting fella. So you go to London 4 months, that's it, and now you start working with Netlify.
Yeah.
Am I saying it right?
Netlify.
Yeah. So what exactly is this building services?
So what Netlify does is it pioneered the idea of Jamstack. Jamstack is JavaScript, APIs, and Markdown. Essentially, like before that, folks will have to build like a WordPress. They'll have to bring up a WordPress instance and then maintain the WordPress backend, all that stuff, right? The other thing is WordPress is quite slow, or at least when Jamstack was sort of gaining steam, WordPress was quite slow.
Yeah.
So Netlify pioneered this whole idea of all you need is just Markdown and a set of APIs for you to like have a website on the internet. So what happens is when someone pushes their code to GitHub, Netlify pulls the code, builds it, and deploys it. So that is the build service now. That is the team where I was working. That's what we're doing.
So interesting.
Oh, very much.
It was like a new challenge. It was fun, right?
Yes. Yeah. Also, like the only downside was it was really easy to break people's workflow. Because if you introduce a bug in the build, it's like the backbone of the whole Netlify offering.
Yeah.
So if you introduce a bug there, like the impact gets amplified really quickly. Or sometimes you could break, say, all Ruby builds. And because there is a million other builds, you sort of don't notice that Ruby builds are broken. So until someone tweets or something. So
has it ever happened?
For sure.
A couple of times. So was it like an insider joke, guys? You have broken everyone's...
Like a rite of passage, like more or less.
Oh, so it was with you directly, or?
Oh yeah, like a broken production for sure. Not the most fun of moments, but yeah.
Because even also you're like, guys, maybe you think I don't know what I'm doing, and there's that self-doubt.
Oh yeah, we all have that.
Okay. So how long do you work on that, or you're still working on
No, I
it?
was in Nilify for a year. I came back in Kenya last year, September.
Okay.
So I left Netlify when I came back to Kenya. I left for personal reasons, but also never really liked the UK. So I decided to come back home. And I decided, okay, since I'm coming back home, let me just take some time off.
Okay. So what is not good in London? We normally say maisha London.
Kwa ground. London is a nice place, by the way. It's a nice place. It was just not for me.
You know, there's this joke that we used to share in high school when you want to sleep extra hours when you're supposed to be sleeping. And we would surround our beds with curtains so that no one knows there's someone there, and tuck it. So when you look at it, it's very neat, but there's someone sleeping there and you don't move around. So when you get caught by maybe a prefect captain, you're like, Manze, I was like, Maisha London. And then they punish you and they say, now, this is the Maisha London.
Well, London is a good place.
Yeah. Is it too expensive to live?
It can be too expensive if you don't have a good job.
Yeah.
Well, thankfully, I mean,
you had a decent job.
I was okay.
Yeah.
I was okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And is it a good place to raise up a family, a young family?
No, it's not.
Yeah. Why? Okay. Please paint the picture for me. I've never been. Okay, I've just passed through Hydro. Nothing much.
So, actually, it might be a good place.
Yeah. Depends with the...
Yeah, it depends with with a number of things. If you have a family there, it can be easier. But if it's just you, say, and your wife, or you and your husband, it can be difficult. Because childcare is expensive. Even if you're earning a lot of money, childcare is expensive.
Okay.
That can really put a strain
on your
day-to-day life.
Yeah.
And the other obvious thing is, of course, your value system. It depends. If you're more conservative, then probably not the best place.
Yeah.
If you're more liberal, it could be an okay place. Yeah, I would say.
And there's every man for himself and God for us all.
If you believe in God.
Okay. So if you, that's even more interesting. If you don't believe in God, then
that's why people go to therapy.
Yeah.
You see,
the shrinks are happy.
You know why therapy is not very common in
Africa?
Kenya? It's because we go to church. We go there and sing and clap and laugh. When we come back home, we have released all the tension, so there is no build-up. Okay, this is my theory. Don't quote me on this.
Yeah, true.
If you feel stressed, it might be a good idea to see a therapist. But,
this is your personal opinion.
It's why I've not gone to therapists. Because I go and sing.
Yeah. Okay, I tend to agree with you, but I also have another view about churches nowadays. They look like personal businesses. Most of them.
I'm Catholic. So.
Yeah, also Catholic. Okay, these are side joke. Looks like a pop's business, but yeah. But spirituality is very important. Let me say that. If you really, and I normally define with my guests 3 things that really are important: body, mind, and soul. And soul here can be your spirit. If all those are stable enough, however you keep them stable, it's very, very important, because life might push one.
So getting into philosophy actually made me appreciate the soul more than before I got into philosophy. Because I will hear the word soul and it wouldn't mean anything. It would just be a good word.
I can understand you.
Yeah.
And what I'm trying to say is that people should do more work in ensuring that they keep those 3 in balance and understand them clearly.
Yeah. I think everyone should at least read Apology by Plato. It's about Socrates defending himself when he was about to get judged for being an atheist, essentially. So everyone should read.
It's a recommendation.
Strongly recommended.
Yeah, and Plato works are quite impressive. Yeah. And there are a couple of other. The guy I talked about, Ken, is a fan of some of those philosophers, and it's really good. I even keep tabs on what he's reading and follow through. Yeah. So London doesn't work for you.
Well, London worked out quite well actually. But I decided I didn't like it. So when things aligned, I decided to come back home.
Yeah. And you're back home, man. Welcome back. You're like how many months old? 3, 4, 6 months?
Maybe 6.
Yeah. You're enjoying, the weather is great.
Well, I mean,
there
isn't a better place to be than Mombasa.
You have your family close to you, and even friends. Everything is familiar once more. So what next for Japheth?
That's a good question. So right now, I might go back to employment.
Okay.
If things don't work out.
Okay.
But for the foreseeable future, I just see myself with startups, early stage preferably.
Yeah. Where you are building end to end.
Yes. Currently, so when I was coming back, when I decided to come back, Joshua Mwaniki, who is the former country director of Andela, calls me and tells me, "Hey Japheth, I have this startup idea." Well, I have this startup. I was part of the idea initially, but before I went to London, and then all that relocation made things difficult for me to be able to contribute to the startup.
Yeah.
So when I decided to come back, he calls me and
he didn't know you were coming back?
No, he didn't know I was coming back.
It was, just pure, random.
Random.
Yeah.
He asked me to come and help with the effort. So that's what I'm doing right now.
Okay.
And maybe a few other things as well.
Does he still work with Andela or he left?
No, he left Andela.
Okay. Interesting, man. And then you know me from day zero. I'm an avid supporter of entrepreneurship and building new solutions, new opportunities.
Yeah.
Because if you look at Africa at large, we need those to increase the employment, to increase the opportunities, and create wealth. Because right now there is a lot of scarcity, whereby if someone offers you maybe just an otherwise deal, you just take it. But otherwise, if there were more deals, there could be more negotiation and you could make it. And then more people could have more resources to build, more solutions. So please follow through. But of course, I understand when you have a family, things can get a bit difficult and you really need to get something. Don't feel like, it's up to you, man. At the end of the day, it's what you make with what you have. So, Japheth.
Yep.
When we started this off the mic, give us some interesting proverbs, Swahili proverbs. I love them. We have made it a habit to always conclude using, African proverbs. And since it sounded like you're familiar with the Swahili one, anyone that comes off?
Okay.
Yeah, but after that, you can encourage guys to subscribe. You know how guys
like subscribe and share.
This is my YouTube channel.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yes. So, the one we talked about when we started this podcast was kufa kwa kiu baharini ni uvivu. Yeah. So it translates to dying of thirst in the ocean is laziness, which is sort of like an ironical, sort of like a adage more than advice, really. So, but essentially it means that when you're in a place where there is a lot of resources, and then you fail to do well, then it is out of laziness.
Okay. Yeah. You have another one off the charts?
Not a proverb, but I would say a philosophy one will be Socrates, know thyself. It's very useful to know who you are.
Because that what matters after all is said and done.
Because not only does it matter, it helps you decide what is good for you. Because if you don't know yourself, you don't know what is good for you. You don't have enough information to decide what's good for you.
Okay. Yeah, thanks so much, Japheth. And actually, we got some electric issues here towards the end, but it was a very interesting conversation. And there's a lot of discussion that have happened offline that I think in future we'll be able to go deep into it with the intention of just sharing what keeps us sane in this chaotic and interesting world. For lack of a better way of looking at it. And for me, I think what really matters when it comes to this kind of conversation is just recording the story of authentic African stories, as well as keeping that record for future generations, as well as ensuring even for us, maybe 2 years, 5 years, 10 years from now, we can look back and say, this is where we were 5 or 10 years ago, and we have actually got into this space. So with all our guests, we have an introductory conversation like we have had with Japheth, but this is just a start of this conversation. So make sure you subscribe, like, and share. And also leave some comments, feedback. We are in all platforms, including YouTube, as Africastalking Retold Podcasts, as Impact Masters Podcasts, or if you search Impact Masters Media, you'll see some of our recordings. And this is a beginning. We also in all podcast platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and any other Podbean, any of your favorite podcasts. Go and search Impact Masters Podcasts. You find us in all these channels or Africastalking Retold Podcast. Without further ado, I would like to thank our guests for gracing our podcast and giving us the African proverb. From coasts, Kenya, that is Mombasa, but is originally from Likoni. As well as sharing some philosophy by Socrates or Plato or Socrates. Yes, there is Aristotle, and Plato, the greatest considered wise man to ever lived. But I think the wisest man to ever live is Solomon, right?
Yes, but the first philosopher, most people consider Socrates as the first philosopher.
Nice. So maybe next time we meet, we should maybe talk a bit about philosophy, see what is happening and how we can relate with it. Try to share with our viewers. So keep locked. Until next time. This is Michael Kimathi representing Impact Masters Podcast in collaboration with Africastalking Podcasts. And you can check a portfolio of tools that you can create solutions to power your business through africastalking.com. And make sure you share and support us. Thank you. Until next time.